Hi everybody, it's Kate Kaltoff. Welcome. It's a Two for Tuesday video day. Excited to be here on Stamping to Share on Facebook, which is my business page for my Stampin' Up business on Facebook. So all of you are here. Oh my goodness, it's good to be here. I know. It's always a little bit tricky when you're just getting going with a Zoom and then connecting it to Facebook. So I really appreciate all of your patience. It's super how patient you all are. So thank you so much for that. Thank you also for sharing. I truly appreciate it. I couldn't do what I do if my customers and my friends and my downline did not share the way that they do. And of course, I love to share too, which is why a long time ago, I started calling my Stampin' Up business Stamping to Share. I actually came up with that name the very first week that I joined Stampin' Up back in 2007. So it's been with me a long time. Welcome everybody. Good to have you here again. Thank you so much for joining me. I think what we're going to do is flip the camera down and get started on these cards right away because it is Two for Tuesday. So we'll be doing two cards. I have my handy dandy little mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine ready to go. I think I have all of the plates that I need. So got them ready to go. And I tried really hard today to have everything close by me, like everything from tape to glue. I don't know. We'll see. I usually always end up getting up in the middle of my presentation and running across the room and grabbing something. So we'll see how that goes today. We'll see how successful I was in gathering my supplies. All right, so I'm going to flip the camera down. Just give me a second here. And there are the cards we're making. So we're using a really cool celebration stamp set called Island Vibes. And the stamp set looks like this. And today I'm making a card that features the pineapple as well as these fronds. I don't know really what the name of the plant is. I don't think it's palm leaves. I think it's some other kind of tropical frond. And then tomorrow, when I do my one for Wednesday, I will focus on this little guy right down here. All right, so I also want to just mention that this is the perfect companion to the card kit to go that I'm doing this month, featuring the Paradise Palms card kit to go. The Paradise Palms bundle is beautiful. And I do have information on my Stamping to Share blog all about how to get this. Basically, it's free with a $50 order using the host code right here, RUJA4W3K. The offer ends on January 18th. And the Paradise Palms bundle looks like this. And you will need that in order to complete the cards as I show you on the video tutorials, as well as the free PDF that will also come when your $50 order is attached to that host code before January 18th. However, if you just like card setups and you've got plenty of stamps in your collection and you can just creatively jump off from a starting point, you're probably good to go. So you can order whatever you want with this $50 order using this host code. But you get a freebie. Now, I kind of recommend the marble. I kept calling it Marvelicious the other day, but it's actually called simply Marvelous 6x6 Designer Series paper. You know, by the end of February, I'll have it figured it out. So, but anyway, if you already have that paper, then my secondary choice would be to go with the Island Vibes stamp set because it's a nice companion set to the Paradise Palms. Another thing we're going to use on these cards, you might have noticed, here I have "You Are Amazing." I'm thinking about doing a thank you card today because I'll have to cut out these little letters, but it's the Amazing Thanks set of dies. So we're going to be using that today, as well as, well, not as well as, because I honestly have not even broke this open, but this is part of the Amazing Silhouettes bundle. You can see how pristine it is. I haven't used it. I'm hoping to, but I'm crazy about the dies. So I have been using the dies and I love them, love them, love them. All right, so let's get started. We're gonna make the harder one first. This one's really super simple. So we're gonna set that aside and make the hard one first because I need my energy to make hard cards. Not that it's so hard. You're gonna see that there's lots of fun layering, but it's just a lot of pieces. So let's go ahead and get started with this really cute and gorgeous card. And this is what it looks like up close. All right, so the first thing, let me get my supplies out here. The first thing you are going to need is a card base, and I am using thick basic white. And it is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Looks like this. Already done for you. I am going to take my bone folder and just give this a nice little press and make that behave for me. And then the next thing I have is, and I did this in advance, but I'm using the Stitched with Whimsy dies. This in the layering diorama dies, I've kind of been a latecomer to these two standalone die sets, and I really love them. So I used the very, very largest Stitched with Whimsy die, and I used it on a very kind of large piece of paper. Now this particular paper color is called Magenta Madness, and you can see when I hold it up close how cool and how perfectly the Stitched with Whimsy large die fits. Now, just an FYI, you have to add that extra 1/4 inch to each of these measurements in order to get that fabulous Stitched with Whimsy die to fit all the way around. And so this panel is not the standard. The standard's normally 4 by 5 1/4. This is a 1/8 inch bigger. So it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Just want you to know that so you are not disappointed that it's not quite big enough. All right, so what we're gonna do next is we're just gonna put this straight on down. So I am going to use multi-purpose liquid glue to do that. So let me go ahead back here and put that glue all the way around this outside edge. We're going to set this in. And the glue is nice because I can wiggle it into place. Set it here so I can see and you can see better what's going on here. Okay, that looks pretty centered. So you can see what that looks like. Really, really skinny line all the way around. Then the next thing we're going to do is we've got a panel of vellum that's going to go right over the top of this panel. That vellum, to fit perfectly within the Stitched with Whimsy outer panel here, is 3.5 inches by 4 3/4 inches. Now I'm not going to use glue because sometimes glue will pucker your vellum. So we don't want puckery vellum. So we are going to use our Stampin' Seal. And I want to be sure that I keep the Stampin' Seal to the middle. And because if we go outside of the middle, it's going to show through. So then in that case, it might be easier to put our next layer on, which is the 3 by 4 1/4 inch panel of Misty Moonlight. So what we're going to do is instead of putting this straight onto this magenta layer, we're going to actually put this layer onto this. That way, when we flip it over, we'll know exactly where to put the adhesive in order to layer it up to the next section here. So again, 3 by 4 1/4, and I'm going to flip that over. Now you might notice I'm using all in colors from our 2020-2022 in color class, and those will be retiring this coming spring. Our in my downline group called Creative Crafters Stamping to Share, our challenge in December was to use all of the soon to be retired in colors in some cards. So all 3 of the cards that I made with Island Vibes are using the soon to be retired in colors. All right, so now that I have this centered on my vellum, I can flip this over and we can glue this now. Well, no, we're not going to glue. We're not gluing on vellum. I just got through with that lecture, so I need to follow my own advice here. So we're using Stampin' Seal. We're going to set this on just center it right in where all that Stitch with Whimsy dies are. Let me just double check it. Looks good. Okay, so we've got this much done. And then we have 2 more flat layers that go on here. So let me share those with you. And you want to cut 2 pieces of paper. I've got Bumblebee and I've got Cinnamon Cider. Yeah, we've got some funny numbers here, but there's a reason it just trust me, it'll look perfect. So you want this to be 2 by 5/8. I'm sorry, 2 and 5/8 by 3 and 7/8. You want both panels the exact same size. Then you're going to cut them in half on the diagonal. So just put them into your Stampin' Trimmer and cut them in half diagonally. What's going to happen? You're going to be left with 2 panels. Whoops. I know there's a way to do this. There we go. So what you're going to do is you're going to have 2 panels then that are going to fit onto this Misty Moonlight just perfectly. Now we can go ahead and go back to using our glue again because we're not actually attaching directly to the vellum here. So we're going to put the Bumblebee colored one up here. And I'm just making sure that the top and left-hand side are nice and even. Then we're going to take the Cinnamon Cider one and put that in the bottom right. And that's going to leave a nice border through the middle and on the right and left, right and bottom. So you're going to have something that looks just like this. And this is finally the base of our card here. So we got kind of all of that hard stuff done. Now we are going to do some stamping. So let me get my stamping things out. Hold on, I've got to stamp. I've got to hitch up my chair here because I'm sitting really low for some reason. Oh, now my chair just went down again. Hold on. I know you probably think I'm sneaking across the room to grab supplies, but I'm not. I'm just adjusting my chair for sure, really. Okay, here's the Bumblebee. And this is the Bumblebee stamp pad. And we're going to use this to ink up the bottom half of the pineapple. And then to ink up the top half of the pineapple, we're going to use Just Jade. Again, all of our 2020, 2022 retiring ink colors. All right, and what we want to do, let me bring this in, is we want to color half of the pineapple with Just Jade and the other half with Bumblebee. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take our pineapple and we want to use the lightest color of ink first. And what I do is I just set it on here. Yep, and that looks good. I got this bottom half all inked up. Then I'm going to take the top half where the leaves are and set that onto the Just Jade. Got to go down a little more. Just got to pull it up and look to see where your ink is going. There, looks pretty good. I don't know. I feel like it needs to go up just a teeny bit more. There, that looks good. All right, then you get to huff on it. Remember in the old days when we used to huff on everything, we'd always ink things up with markers, and then by the time we'd be ready to stamp it, we'd have to huff on it. So we'll do that in a second. Let me show you what size we're gonna stamp this on. This is a 2 by 3 1/4 inch panel of basic white. This is the reason I had to hitch up my chair. I need to see where I'm stamping, and if I sit too low, I can't see. All right. That's how I'm huffing. So I just blew some warm air onto my stamp to keep it nice and inky. Press that on. Oh, isn't that pretty? There it is. Just perfectly done. Now what we want to do, and I'm going to set this aside because it needs to dry a second, and I did one in advance that's all perfectly dry. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get the ink pads out of the way. We don't need these 2 colors anymore. And we're going to bring in this cute little machine. You're going to need the bigger machine in order to do the Stitch with Whimsy dies. But sometimes when you're just working with little small dies, it's sort of handy just to have this little tiny machine on your desk. This is our mini stitch or our mini Stamp and Emboss machine. And then you get all these plates with it. So the base plate is this one, this white one. And then when you want to use dies, you have to use this kind of gray one here. And then it shows you how to do it. So you have, this is just not, these are not your 3D dies. These are just your standard dies. So on this card, I got to get my notes here. I'm gonna put them on my computer. On this card that I posted on Instagram and on my Facebook page and the one I've been advertising, well, I used the Meadow Moments die through my mini, but you know what? I left it up at the cabin, so I don't have it here. I always do that. I always think I have everything with me and then I don't. So I was looking through my other things that I have in my house, and I discovered that I had the greenery dies that I shouldn't say call them dies, they're embossing folders. I had the greenery embossing folders. So I thought this one would work pretty good too. So we're going to use this one today instead of the Meadow Moments. So when I was using the Meadow Moments, because all of the embossing is on the bottom section, I was able to put my pineapple in just like this and run it through. And I had everything right, but that's not going to work with this one. So we're going to put it like this. And what's nice is it's all see-through, so I can kind of see where it's going. Let's see. I'm just going to keep moving it around until I have it right where I want it. And I think that looks good. Then I'm going to put it in here. And we're going to run it through. Oh, shoot, I ran it through the back side and I want, well, now we have indented dies. That looks pretty too. I normally would have run it, so I wasn't paying attention to my logo. Normally when you run things through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, you want to make sure that your logo is to the front, and I had my logo to the back. But you know what? We could do this again because I have this one. Yeah, let's do it again. What the heck? All right, so I'm gonna set it in here one more time. This time like this, so I can see exactly where it's going. That looks good. We'll try it again with the logo to the front. All right, roll, roll, roll. There we go. This is the look I was after. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, so just those little details kind of make a difference if you just pay attention to where the logo is. All right, luckily I had a secondary piece that I was able to work with. All right, so then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take it's something in the new catalog, and I think it's called Fan, F-A-N, Fan Baker's Twine. And I have a little pre-cut or pre-tied bow. And we're going to put that on with a glue dot. Oh, yes, I was worried. I was almost going to have to go across the room, but I had a backup. So here is my little glue dot. I kind of squished it. I'm setting it right here. And then we'll put our little, oh, that just makes such a cute difference. Just adding that little tiny bow onto our pineapple. Isn't that darling? All right, then we're going to take this and put it onto a panel of Just Jade, which is 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. And we're going to put that on with Stampin' Seal. So let me just put this in right in the center. And then this goes right here, and we're going to put it on with dimensionals. So let me go ahead and add the dimensionals back here. 5 are good. 5 is good. We're going to set that right in the middle. Again, I have to bring it in a little closer so I can see if it's centered, and it looks like it is. And that is the outside of our card, all done and glorious looking. Now let's just add a little something on the inside. So what could we do on the inside? Well, just for fun and giggles here, I'll show you what I did on this card. I just stamped, I think you are wonderful, but let's do something a little more fun and different. So I'm going to, remember this, I stamped it once. I'll bet if I huff on it again, I get a little bit softer image of that. So let me just try this. Kind of scary because I'm doing it directly onto my panel. I huffed it, and we should be able to get a really, really, really light image of this pineapple. Oh, and we did. So pretty. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use something from Stampin Up, if I can find it, and I'm pretty sure I put it here. Here it is. This is a freebie again from Sale-a-bration. It's $100 spend because look at all those words. Oh my gosh, there's like words for everything. So I'm going to use the I Think You're Wonderful set of words, and we're going to ink that up with Magenta Madness. And let's put this right where the greenery and the fruit meet. See what that looks like. Oh, turned out fabulous. Doesn't that look nice? So there's a little tip for you to do something that maybe you haven't done in a while. All right. So there we go. First card complete. I never got up to go across the room once. I just want you to note that because I'm so proud of myself. I want somebody else to be proud of me too. All right, let's see what's next here. The next card. So let me find it. Here it is. And it looks like this. This is going to be super simple. So let's go ahead and make this one. Let me show you what the inside looks like too. Ta-da! So pretty. All right, so we are, so this one says you are amazing. The card I'm going to make for you is going to say thank you because we're using the Amazing Thanks dies, and I want to do one with a thank you that uses basically the same look. So we're going to start with a panel of Magenta Madness, 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5 1/2. And look at that, it's popping up. So how do you live without a bone folder? I do not understand. I know a lot of people don't even own a bone folder. I couldn't live without mine. I love it. All right, so there we go. Now we're going to need 2 panels of Bumblebee, the exact same size. Both panels are going to be 4 by 5 1/4. But one of the panels you are going to diagonally cut, just like we did last time with those 2 panels. So one panel cut diagonally, and the diagonally cut panel is going to go on the inside, right there. So I'm going to just put that in there, be done with it. So we'll set this in, and we'll finish up the rest of the inside later. All right, and then for the outside panel, now always when you're putting something that has a ribbon wrap on your card, check to see where the ribbon wrap is if you're copying somebody. So we can go ahead and glue this Bumblebee panel down because the ribbon is wrapped around the basic white panel. So again, it's 4 by 5 1/4. And I am going to just glue that straight on flat to this Magenta Madness card base. So right here we go. Fabulous. Now what we need is our basic white panel so we can do our stamping, and then we're going to attach the die cuts and we're going to do a ribbon wrap. So quite a bit to do with the white panel. So we're just going to set this aside for the moment. And here are the two whisper or basic white panels that we need. Both of them cut to the same size, 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And on this inside panel, we might as well do that first. We'll be warming up our image here because it hasn't been stamped yet today. So I've got the fronds onto a block E, and I've got my Just Jade ink pad. I will miss these colors a lot once they're retired. I don't know which one I'll miss the most. I'm kind of thinking the Just Jade because it's a super duper awesome green. All right, then just go ahead and stamp that on the bottom left corner. Like, it's fabulous. It's a fabulous color of green. All right, so we can go ahead and put this into our card. I said set that aside, but we're gonna just set this in here right now and be done with it. So I'm going to put that down with some Stampin' Seal just at the top. We'll set that in. Make sure you're right and left and make sure everything is nice and even. And the inside panel is done. And that way you can just sneak a sentiment into whatever appropriate occasion you have. Or if you're sending a thank you card or a You Are Amazing card, you may want to write why you're thanking them or why they're so amazing. All right, so there is where we're at so far. Then we're going to take this other panel, and I'm thinking I need to put something here so you can see what I'm doing. So let me again grab this ink pad, which is Just Jade. We're going to stamp the bottom. And then we're going to flip it and stamp the bottom again. Just because it's easier for me to do it that way. Notice I do not rock my stamp pad or my ink. If I rock it, sometimes if you get ink on this outer edge, you will get little ghosting marks, and I don't care for those. All right, so here we go. This is what it looks like. And the next thing we're going to do is just set all of this aside. This is going to need to dry for a second, and we need to work on cutting out our thank you. So let me grab, I got a lot of ink here. I need to do some cleanup here before we get going. All right, this is what we're using. And let me show you what we're putting it on. We're going to do these cutouts with a strip of Magenta Madness. And I do not want to fuss with gluing these tiny little letters in. So I'm going to use, and I'm not sure if these are still on back order or not, but I happen to have some. These are our Stampin' Up! Adhesive sheets. And you know what I've been doing lately? So I'll take a whole pack of adhesive sheets and cut them into 1-inch strips, because it seems like mostly I'm using them on small things. And so a 1-inch strip is perfect. So they're all 1 by 6-inch strips. And then I just keep them really handy next to my bigger Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And to put them onto your Magenta Madness, what you're going to do is flip them over and just get them started like this. See how I did that? And that's the part you don't want to touch. If you touch that part, holy smoly, it's hard to get that adhesive off your fingers because it is extremely sticky. So there's the first one. And then here's the second one. We're just going to line that up right next to it. And here is the third one. And notice how easy this is. And we could even put a little more. In fact, something I want to show you is, let's say you get to the edge of something, but you need a little adhesive here. I want to show you how I do that. this is just to show you. I don't really need this much adhesive, but I want to show you. So if I get to the edge of something, but I've got too much here to take it all the way to the edge, see what I mean? I got all this extra, but I don't want to just waste that. So what I do is I get it as close over to the edge as I want. And then I fold it back like this and crease it with my fingernail. And then you just rip it off. And then you've got your little piece here that you can use on another project. So again, I just throw that into my little bucket where I have all of my 1x6" strips. All right, so that was how to do that. Now, since we're not going to do "You Are Amazing," even though you are, we are going to do "Thank You," because I so thank you for all of the time that you spend watching me do these videos. I know that sometimes it gets a little tedious because these are kind of longer videos these days, but you guys told me you love them. So that's why I'm going to keep doing them. So here's the thanks and here's the you. And don't worry, we're not going to say thanks you. We will cut off that S, but it's just easier to run it all the way through like this. If you're really, really, really conservative, you could go like this. Just throw that S off the edge and then you don't have to cut it off. But as you know, I am not really, really conservative. I don't really care if I'm wasting a little bit. All right, so we're gonna get our little handy dandy Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine out again. A little tiny one that just fits so good on your desk. And we're going to use plate number 1, and it tells me right here how to do it. So we've got plate number 1 on the bottom. Then we're going to need a cutting mat, which is number 2. So set that over the top. And then it also says we need our dies and our paper and another number 2 plate. We're going to put our dies on like so, and our U. And then we need another die over the top, or another plate over the top of it. And I need to bring this out because almost my U wasn't even going to get cut the way it was looking there. All right, so now you just run it through, hold on to it. Here we go. So we've got our U and our thanks. Let me put all of this away and then I'll get down to business here. All right, so then it's handy to have a take your pick tool so you can kind of pop all this excess out. You don't even really need to worry about that because it's all going to come out when you put it on your card and peel away that adhesive. So here's the U. All right. Oh, you guys are so nice. You're doing such a good job commenting all the way through as I do this, but it's really hard for me to look at comments and stay focused on what I'm doing. You guys know that about me. So I'll go back and read the comments after this is over. So now what I need, so I have my card base. What I'm looking for is my prepped panel. We did do that, didn't we? Where we put the, oh, here it is. I was panicking for a second. I couldn't find it. Yeah, there's nobody that can lose things quicker than I can. Just ask my husband. All right, so here we've got the thanks. And I'm going to put that way up here and I'm going to cut off the S and then the U is going to go down here, I think. Yeah, that's going to be cute. And then there's still enough room for some ribbon treatment. So let me go ahead and cut this off. Cut off this little S. Well, where's my regular scissors? All I see around here are ribbon scissors. Well, ribbon scissors it is. Sometimes you just have to make do in a pinch. All right, so I've got my thank you. I'm going to peel off the adhesive. And you have to do that in little pieces because remember, they're little strips. Boy, this one's got a lot of little pieces. All right, so there's the thank. I'm just going to set that upside down for a second. I'm going to get my other one ready. Here's the U. We'll flip it over and do the other part. All right, so I think I'm going to put the U down first. So I've got my take your pick tool because this helps me, it keeps my big fingers from getting in the way. I probably want the U about right here, but I'm not going to set it on. I'm not going to press that down just in case I need to move it. Then I've got my thank you right here. I think that looks good. So I'm just going to barely set that in to make sure it's where I want it. It's not. So I'm going to lift it up. You got a little bit of time here. I mean, just don't press it really hard because once it's pressed down really hard, you're kind of stuck with it. There we go. I like that. So I'm going to press that one in and I'm going to take my U and move it up just a little bit more. And now I can press that in. So there's the thank you. Look at that, how good it looks. Now we're going to do our ribbon treatment. And we're going to use something that carried over from the holiday catalog. And this is our black and white gingham ribbon. So I'm just going to cut a little strip off because we're going to throw that right here in the corner. And then I'm going to make a bow. Time for a little bow tutorial. For those of you that have never seen me tie a bow, just go ahead and make a loop. This will be backwards if you're left-handed, but if you're right-handed, then bring this strip around to the back, and then you're going to poke it through the front here. And then you get a nice flat bow. It's how I've been tying my bows for years. I can tie bows in my sleep. I've tied so many bows. I used to pre-tie all of my bows for my customers, if you can imagine. But now I teach my customers how to do it so that they can do it too. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and using a little Scotch tape, just going to tape this around to the back. Just a cute little accent here on the front of our card. I love this black and white gingham check. Oh, I'm so glad Stampin' Up! Let us keep that at least through spring. I hope it goes into the new catalog because it's so pretty. And then I'm just going to put a glue dot right here in the middle. I always use my take your pick tool to do that. And then I can take my ribbon, decide which I think is the front. They both look pretty similar. And then I'll just press that over the top of the glue dot. And you have a pretty little accent. All right, now we're going to flip this over, add some Stampin' Seal all the way around. And then we're going to put it onto the front of our card base, which is right here. Oh my goodness, it's so super cute. I just love it. There it is. Now, do we want to put anything on the inside? I don't think so. I think we had that discussion. So it's just going to stay blank because we got this pretty little stamped frond image. All right, so let me get out the cards we did today. There's these two. And here are these two. Try and get them centered in the camera so you can see them all at one time. Oh my gosh, it's just a burst of happy colors, isn't it? Oh, I just love it. Thank you everybody so much for joining me today. It truly is my pleasure to be here. I'm going to do one more plug here for my card kit to go. I'm sending out a customer newsletter today or a customer email today. So if you're not signed up, please sign up for my Stamping to Share emails. I send one out once a week and I keep you updated with Stampin' Up! Promotions as well as my own personal promotions, which right now is the Paradise Palms kit to go. You get all of your setups with a $50 order using this host code You get all of those setups free when you use this house code attached to a minimum $50 order. Again, this offer ends on January 18th. Please go to my blog at www.stampingtoshare.com to see all that information up close and personal. Bye, everybody. I truly appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow with mailbox shares and a one for Wednesday. Bye-bye.